To the local stories, as Rukungiri district has received 582 million Uganda shillings worth for COVID-19 relief fund from the government. Now, as COVID-19 continues to hit the country, Rukungiri district and municipality has received 582.4 million Ugandan shillings from the government in the fight against the virus. Now, the development was confirmed by the Chief Administrative Officer, the CAO, Biamungu Elias, as he explained that Rukungiri district was given 448 million Ugandan shillings and 134.4 million for the municipality made for COVID-19 task forces, not health department. He furthermore cautioned leaders against misallocating the given fund, explaining that every participant should play a role in curbing the spread of the virus. Then we head to the Uganda dairy exports, which have grown by 63% in 3 years as value for Uganda's milk hit 3.1 trillion. Now, according to records from the Dairy Development Authority, DDA, Uganda's revenue from export of dairy products has risen from $131.5 million, that is 480 billion Ugandan shillings in 2018, to $205 million, approximately 750 billion Ugandan shillings by 2020. This was revealed by Dr. Michael Kansime, the DDA Executive Director, during a virtual orientation meeting with Frank Tumwebaze, the new Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Dairy Development Authority is a government agency mandated to develop and regulate the dairy industry and has a core objective to provide proper coordination and efficient implementation of all government policies. Dr. Kansime noted that the country's overall value of marketed milk standards is approximately $850 million, which is 3.1 trillion Ugandan shillings, and that is 80.2% of the total milk produced. He further highlighted the Dairy Development Authority is working to promote and import substitution, increased export earnings, employment creation and improved household incomes. Now, the exports mainly go to regional markets of the UAE, Syria, Japan, Oman, USA, Nepal and Bangladesh. Now, the police officers are ordered to pull off number plates of cars without travel permits. Now, this comes after the Senior Superintendent of Police, SSP Norman Musinga, who is the Kampala Metropolitan Traffic Police Commander, has ordered police officers to pull off number plates of vehicles without travel permits. The mostly targeted vehicles are those parked on city streets, shopping centers and private parking. Now, Musinga's directive is in response to President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni's ban on the movement of public and private vehicles to serve for essential workers who have been cleared by the Ministry of Works and Transport. Now, Museveni announced a 42 days of fresh lockdown on June 18th after Uganda registered the surge of new COVID-19 wave, which has proved to be more lethal. Museveni started with banning of the inter-district movement, but later induced a countrywide total lockdown. However, Musinga urges that the several vehicles beat police roadblocks and access the city center. Police officers have been ordered to move from street to street and building parkings, checking whether vehicles which are parked there are cleared by the Ministry of Works and Transport. Now, on to the last story, as the MPs are furious as Minister fails to announce COVID-19 vaccine delivery date. Now, the Ministry of Health, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, left members of Parliament in shock when she said she cannot tell the date when the government procured vaccines will arrive. Now, Acheng and Permanent Secretary Diana Atwine had appeared before Parliament's COVID-19 task force, which is scrutinizing interventions put in place to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic, including vaccine procurement, payment of medical workers and health services challenges, among others. MPs tasked Acheng to explain whether all the funds amounting to over 121 billion Ugandan shillings meant for purchasing vaccines had gone since 2020, and the government is planned for the vaccinations of Ugandans. But in her explanation, the minister said the first 18 billion shillings was released rather later from the Ministry of Finance, after a delayed approval by Parliament. As a result, the government could not advance payments to the vaccine manufacturers. And according to Acheng, the government is only able to comfortably get vaccines through the COVAX vaccine due to the global demands. The plan indicates that Uganda will receive 1.2 million vaccines over the next month, with the bulk of 11 million vaccines from the COVAX facility, and Johnson & Johnson have been concluded but still await a response. The chairperson of the task force, Abdul Kantuntu, asked the Ministry of Health to cost everything needed to vaccinate all Ugandans so that the Parliament can make a decision on the matter, adding that the ultimate remedy to COVID-19 is vaccination. Now that is what we've had for you lately in the local updates. Coming up, other foreign updates with Rita Cabanyoro. This is Smart Means Business.
Very well, and now foreign updates this morning. Let's first cross to Dar es Salaam, where motorists are currently paying shillings 2,405 litre over petrol, up to 1,520 in June last year, available data shows. In a simpler perspective, this means that one has to pay shillings 885 more to access a litre of petrol in Dar es Salaam in July 2021 compared to what the same person paid for the same volume of the product in the 12 months ago. The latest adjustments were affected in July 1st, 2021, as government seeks to collect shillings 100 as fuel levy in line with 36.86 shillings trillions budget for the financial year 2021-2022. But the rising global prices, this increasing has held beyond around 100 shillings fuel levy, with Energy and Water Utilities Regulatory Authority finally rising July 2021 retail prices of petrol, diesel and kerosene by 156 shillings, 142 shillings and 164 shillings per litre respectively for the products improved or imported via the Dar es Salaam port. And when we cross over to Rwanda, we'll spend approximately $4 million to import oxygen plants to increase local production as the country battles a recent spike in coronavirus infections leading to the hospitalization. Moving on, the officials say that the current oxygen capacity is sufficient, but government is acquiring more capacity to avoid shortage in case the cases continue to arise. As of September 2020, the country had 7 functional public oxygen plants that produce approximately 7,000 cylinders, that is around 50 liters per month, with the total maximum oxygen production capacity of functioning public oxygen plants that is estimated around 355 cylinders, around 50 liters per day, or approximately 10,800 cylinders per month. And let's cross over to South Africa, where Jacob Zuma hands himself over to police, finally, to begin sentence. The South African former president Jacob Zuma turned himself into police to begin 15th month in jail for contempt of court. Now, the culmination of a long legal drama seen at a test of the post-apartheid state ability to enforce the rule of the law. Police spokesperson Lidazadu Themba confirmed in a statement that Zuma was in police custody in a compliance with the Constitutional Court judgment. The Department of Correctional Services said in separate statement that Zuma was admitted to East Court Correctional Center, about 175 kilometers, that is 108 miles from his homestead in Nkadola in Natal Province. Now, the court gave Zuma around a 15-month jail term last week for defying an instruction area in February to give evidence in an inquiry into corruption. Now that marks our end of our news updates this morning. Good morning. Coming up shortly is expert analysis on the projection of COVID-19 cases by the National Planning Authority. Good morning.
Smart 24, driving business. Smart 24, driving business.
Amanya gange nze Ayeba Johnson nva Kyenjojo nsika chapati simaze mu banga dene ekiri awo myaka nge 2 yokka nguzeemu bintu bingi ninawe enkoko zange nina embuzi kale osanga nti nga bakasitoma bajja ne balya nga tebasasudde ekiri awo oba ebintu oyinza obikola nebitatambula bulungi nebibeerawo nebisulamu ate bwebisulamu yebaloosi oba oyinza okubulwa ssente ezigula ebintu ebirala ebintu bya buseere ku dduuka naddala engano eyo gavumenti
Yes, 21 minutes past 8 in the morning, you're watching SMB, Smart Means Business, and this is Smart 24 TV. For this particular minute, we're going to our exclusive analysis. And joining me now is Dr. Abraham Mwanguzi, who is the Manager, Science and Technology Department at the National Planning Authority, to talk about the new model that is going to be projecting COVID-19 cases. A very good morning. We welcome you again. And how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, thank you, Rita. I'm fine and well.
Okay.
Good morning,
Let's
the
begin.
viewers.
Thank you. Let's
thank you
begin
for
it
hosting me.
at this real projection model. You just started in March 2020. We are not even 2 years into COVID-19. Isn't it a very fast and quick judgment?
No, I don't believe so, because we are in a bad situation. People's lives are at stake, people are dying, and the same has also applied to vaccines. Vaccines take 10 years to develop, but this time they have been fast-tracked. Amidst the challenges, the improvements are coming on. So even with this model, we have had enough scrutiny and peer review of the model we are putting out, because we combined with the team from Pennsylvania University, and we've been working on a model on a background of other projects we've been doing with them. And so since March 2020 until today, it's about a year and some months, so we have found that the model is very accurate. And when you see the graph and the trend, you see it is exactly close to the actual cases which have been occurring over those months.
Yeah,
So
I really
it's not
greatly
rushed.
see it's ranked 97%
Yeah.
the accuracy.
Yes.
How does it even work? Let's get into exactly how the COVID projection model works for the Ugandan to understand clearly.
Okay. The way the model works is that we capture a number of parameters which we have put into the model. These include the population density of the country. You know, the COVID transmissions depend on proximity. So the higher the number, the higher the transmission rate. Then we capture the age structure of the country, the young, the middle-aged, the old. Then we capture the government interventions. What has government put in place to the measures to manage the lockdown? Then we also capture some other issues like the climate, because this transmission is more dependent on the weather and the climate issues. So we capture these. Then we capture the Human Development Index. That is the level of economic development of a country in terms of education, access to Medicare. So we believe that the higher the country is, then the better it is placed to respond and provide services testing, treatment, vaccination to their population. When the country is poor, then the services are a bit reduced. So we capture these things within the model. So these are the standing parameters. Then we also capture cases outside of the country. All over Africa, all the countries in Africa are included in the model.
Are included on this particular model?
Yes, to see how much they impact on us. Like the previous lockdown we had, the most factors were from outside the country. So though we capture these, they are put in the model. Then we have the daily occurrences which are reported by the Ministry of Health. So when these numbers are captured, then they are put into the model together with the already inbuilt outstanding parameters. Then of course the programming goes on, and it gives us the projections on a daily basis, which we amalgamate into a week to give the trend.
We want to still understand on the data collection. You, as a national, as NPA, you have teams in every district, every village. How do you come up with such data on age, given that at least every day someone is being born? Before, coming up with different birthdays according to the age. At least make us understand.
Yes, we use statistics which is readily available, like this population statistic, National Bureau of Statistics information is what we use. Then on the issue of government lockdown, there is an Oxford coronavirus tracker. It is in Oxford University, which keeps track of the interventions which each country puts in place to manage the lockdown and how effective they are. So we get that information. Then we use the UN information on the Human Development Index, and also the categorization of countries in Africa as North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. You know, the North African countries are a bit at a more developed level than the Sub-Saharan countries. So we use general information which is readily available.
Which is already available.
Yes, and then we put it together and do our programming and analysis. So information which is in the public domain, but by authority. No
matter the accuracy of the information?
But, that is what I was going, but by authoritative bodies. Like UBOS is an authority, UN is an authority, the Oxford University is an authority. So that gives us the confidence to use this data and information. And then the information from the Ministry of Health, which is submitted many times to World Health Organization, and also some information from the World Health Organization. So we put all this information together and develop the model projections.
Understood, Doctor. And you talked about the funding from the Minnesota or
Penn State University.
Penn State University. Is it particularly targeting onto the model?
No, the funding from Penn, we already have a partnership with Pennsylvania State University, which started in 2018. We started working together with them in 2016, but with no funding, and we started investigating the causes of neonatal death in Uganda, because neonatal mortality had stagnated for the last 20 years in the country. So the Science Planning Department in National Planning Authority and the Social Sector Planning Department, which is in charge of the health sector, we came together and we said, how do we advise government to reduce, what policy measures should be put in place? So we happened to get this partnership, and then the funding started in 2018 specifically to investigate the causes of neonatal death in Uganda. So, and it is a 5-year project. The final policy recommendations, some have come out, but the final will come out beginning of next year. So when the COVID pandemic started, and maybe one thing to note, in this investigation, we are also building model projections which
For
can be
neonatal investigation?
for neonatal.
Okay.
Part of it, we are developing a model that can be able to predict what a child who is yet to be born, what sicknesses the child might be exposed to, given the mother's genetics, the diet, the environmental conditions they are living in. So we are putting these parameters together, and we say a mother who gets pregnant in a certain month and is in this district, in this environment, the baby is more susceptible to be exposed to such a sickness when they get born, so that intervention is taken. So we're already working on a predictive model, and capacity had been built at NPA. So when the COVID came, we said we can't continue business as usual as if everything is normal. So as a planning authority, we need to put forward something. And as a science department, which our president directed NPA to establish in 2017, so we had to apply the science. So we a bit said that we can put this on hold and then come up with something that can help government in planning to handle COVID cases, because that is our role as a National Planning Authority. You have to think ahead and think what might happen if ABCD is
So you
put in
paused
place.
the neonatal programs, you
yes,
went for
exactly.
COVID.
So we paused and went for that. So to answer your question, the funding was not specifically
for COVID-19.
Yes. So we just used that funding and diverted it to COVID. Otherwise, if COVID had not come, then we would have just continued with
I
our
hope
work.
the funders were greatly okay with that, and hoping for more funding, or have they already, approved for more funding, looking out that you took an initiative, to divert and go for a humanitarian call of a health risk of COVID-19.
Yes,
Are there more considerations coming through that should
as
be
a technical person, yes, I would love for more funding to come through and we do more things. But
Okay.
I believe my bosses, the executive director and board, will discuss that with them. And I hope, because we've done a good job. Yes,
Very well,
so
Doctor.
I hope it will come through.
Very well. So back to this particular model, which was actually launched on 7th of around this week.
Yes, on Thursday.
On Thursday.
Yes.
And you're giving us 3 days that the COVID-19 cases will be are going to be increasing on a daily basis, according to the report here or the model. But as yet, the Ministry of Health is coming up reporting the decline of the COVID-19 cases that are being reported daily. We are seeing a decline. So how come your model is projecting, an increase or a rise? How convincing is that to Ugandans?
Yeah, actually, our model is well in line with what the ministry is saying, because I don't know whether the camera can zoom in here or it can be projected. The most important thing to note about the model is that it gives a trend. As it is a prediction, it cannot give you exactly. But the trend, how is the trend moving? Are we moving up? Are we stagnant? Or are we going down? And if you can see,
I can hold?
yeah, you can help me hold also. And if you can see here, this was the first lockdown. The first
We
wave.
see November 2020.
Yes. So when you see these dots, these are the actual reported cases per week. And this blue graph, these are the model predictions. And this shows the extent within which the wave can
They
move.
have been increasing and going down.
And going down. So this was the first lockdown, and now this is the second lockdown. You can see the first wave is half the second.
Yes, the spike of the first wave, I can see, from what I'm seeing, between November and a bit of February in there.
Yes.
The spike is actually moderately low compared to what we are in now, according to the lockdown
Yes.
graph.
So probably if we don't do well, maybe the third wave will be three times as much as this. So you see when in end of May, when the cases started coming in, there was a big increase, and around this time here, there was
Between May and July.
between May and June, around
And
here.
June, yes.
On 9th June, there was a partial lockdown. And we can see that the partial lockdown never worked at all. So the cases just continued going up. And around this time, there was a full lockdown. And we can see that the measures of the full lockdown have actually worked. So you see the cases are beginning to decrease, but the rate at which they are beginning starts to stabilize. So the rate of decrease begins to stabilize a bit.
From what I'm seeing, I see that the cases are decreasing in July.
In July, they are decreasing,
but
they
after
have,
they stabilize somewhere after July.
they are beginning to stabilize. So we have not like reached the real peak of the decrease. So the model, as you were saying, no, it is not in contradiction. It is actually in line. So the model shows us if we continue observing the SOPs, that actually we are doing well.
We can stabilize. At what month there are you assuming to get stable?
To go down?
Yes, because I'm still.
We are
it's not
assuming-
very clear whether it's August or mid-July.
This is now. This here is mid-July.
Okay.
So and we believe by on Monday we shall give the further projection, because every Monday we shall be bringing out this projection. It will show us how far we are going, but we believe that after this, with the current measures, we are going to go down.
Okay, we
That is what
we
it is showing
hopefully
us.
hope so,
If
and we are
people
going to be
continue
here
observing,
reporting reporting what we observe and whether your forecast is actually very
Yes.
correct.
Actually, I give it with confidence because it has been a rigorous process. The model has been published in the National Academy of Science Journal in America, and it was published on 27th June. So that is why we even have the confidence now to say we can put it out there, because people have looked at it, people have peer reviewed it, and I'm very confident the figures we shall be giving are really the correct figures that can guide government decisions. So I'm not worried at all.
Yes, and from the previous launch, from the previous day of launch, actually you were saying that the government's measures put in place of the lockdown were necessary, were necessarily needed. So where do you think, or what do you think can be done this time, maybe to curb or in case the lockdown increases, or when we see an increase here and we see a reduction, because we're already in July and the president has not come out to say, you know, whether we're going into another lockdown or 42 days. How would you advise government on this one in terms of guidelines on the lockdown, especially from the graph I see cases going down.
Going down, but
Can we be hopeful that we might not be going into the lockdown?
Yes. To start with the last question, yes, we can be hopeful with the current, if we keep the current trend. If we keep observing what we are told to observe, yes, there is hope that we shall not be going in another lockdown. Obviously, the government is very interested in saving the lives of its people. The government doesn't put lockdown measures just for pleasure or for the sake. It bleeds the economy, it affects everyone, the government needs taxes, so it puts it in place with a lot of pain. So yes, if we continue observing the SOPs, we shall not go back because there will be no reason. So we advise government and they take decisions. Then what would advise in case, you're saying in case.
In case the reason.
And we pray that in case it doesn't take place, but we have to be prepared. This model has the ability to do district level predictions, to highlight which district is most affected and which district is red, which one is relatively okay. So that ability is there, but we have not done that because we don't have that information at the district level.
The available data at the district.
How many are being tested, how many infections. We don't have that available data. It is always given at a national level. So what we would advise is that we can get that information from Ministry of Health if if the cases are not going down as much, so that we can know which district is most affected, and maybe now focused interventions can be put. Instead of a blanket, we say Kampala, for you are doing badly. Obviously, we've been doing badly. In the last lockdown, they locked
Kampala
down.
and Wachiso.
And Wachiso. In the last lockdown, they locked down all the border districts as other places were being
open.
So but we can now go and say border district XYZ should be locked down with evidence. So that is what we believe if things are not normalizing, because eventually the economy will have to be opened up. In the UK, they are talking about now living with the virus.
They have
And
set
we might
actually,
have to
they
reach
have
that
set
place.
19th of July. They will
Yeah.
scrap off all, the wearing of mask and live and learn to live with COVID-19.
Yeah, exactly. So even us, we can learn to live with it, but with what we have now in the model, we can learn to live with it when we have information and knowledge of what we can do better, where we can put more focus and emphasis. Yes.
You mentioned the model being even going far beyond borders. What's its limit?
It is limited in Africa. We capture all the African countries in the model, so we know how much Kenya is affected, Egypt, and how much that country can impact on our COVID-19 cases here in Uganda. So that is inbuilt in the model. So in case the factors which are causing cases are not internal like we do now, most all of them are internal, we can know which country is affecting us most, depending on how much we trade with the mobility between these two countries. So that government can say, we put Kenya in red, we put South Africa in red, or Egypt in red. So this model is able to give those recommendations to the government.
Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of factors, do you go ahead as National Planning Authority to observe what might be what might be causing the high increase or the increasing rates, or what is happening, or you only collect data for developments of models? Could you be in the know of the factors that could be leading to the increasing cases?
In the cases? Yes, because we do input them, like the mobility and then the extent of medical access. So we can be able to isolate a factor, given all those we put in place, the mobility, the age, the access to medical facilities, so we can be able to extract when that information is needed. Yeah.
Talking of mobility, the gender, the geographical location, the age, you said these ones are helping you to access data to foretell the increasing cases. Am I right to say that? But are there more factors that you have been able to observe that could be leading to the increase of COVID-19 cases as the national
beyond
plan?
what we have looked at?
Yes, please.
No, we have not yet analyzed beyond what we have, because what we put into the model, we believe those are the major.
Okay.
And not believe, but those are what have been even put forward by WHO, by Ministry of Health. So we captured those which have been highlighted by the health officials, and those are the ones we have been able to use. So we believe that we've captured what is mainly required to be able to know the COVID case infection and increase rate.
Understood, doctor. And now you're pushing in. I had the other day when the doctor was actually
my boss.
Yes, the boss was addressing the public. You are pushing for the need of being part of the National COVID Task Force. Why? What are you bound to change that can greatly improve the situation right now?
Yeah, you know, if proper decision making has to be informed by planning, and the proper planning is informed by empirical evidence, analysis, research, and information and data. So the government put in place National Planning Authority to do exactly that, the thinking on its behalf, so that by the time we present to all the citizens of this country, we are trusted to have thought. So that is why we have the National Development Plan, and it is followed by everyone. So the trust is that NP has done a good job in thinking, and that is why government put NP in place.
I personally appreciate this kind of transitioning.
Yes. So if the task force, what my executive director was putting forward, if the task force is to have proper decision making, to inform policies that are being put forward to curb COVID, obviously there must be planning, there must be planners. So that is what he was trying to say. We should have the decisions being put forward informed by the planning which has been thought about like this. Yes.
Do you hope to get accuracy? Because you mentioned one of the challenges being, at least on the local level, at the district level, the lack of data. When you're put on the national task force, that you can implement that at least on a daily basis, or at least twice weekly, you can have that data available on the district level.
Yes, like those.
Could it be that it's because there is no planning in the task force, that this is why we're lacking such kind of information?
Yes, I believe that is exactly, those are some of the things we need to bring on the fore. You know, it is not that the task force does not think, but everyone thinks in their paradigm. When you go to any event as a journalist, what you'll be looking out for is what news. So other things will be important, but they will not be of interest to you. So if you as a planner, when you are somewhere, your thinking is, what is it that I need to plan to achieve? What everyone is talking about. So the implementer will be, what is it that I need to implement? So we go for cars, for ambulance, for beds. And for you, the planner will be saying, what is it that I need to plan to get the
beds,
ambulances and the beds? You understand? So it's not the task force, it's not that the task force doesn't do the work, but everyone thinks in their sphere of influence. So if you don't have the planner there to draw a torch in the future and say, okay, they are talking about ABCD, so what parameters should be in place to get what they are talking about? They will miss that. You understand? And that is what exactly my executive director was pointing out. So now, for example, as you have said, the district level. So we have already thought about it, that we need to do district level predictions and investigate which district is impacting on Uganda very much. Then we can be able to isolate that. I don't know whether the committee has thought about it or not, the task force. Maybe they have or not. But even when they think about it, because it is not in their sphere of thinking, they will think about, but it will be a secondary thing to them. To a planner, it will be a primary thing. So, and this information is there because this data is being collected. People are being tested at the district level. People are being vaccinated at the district level. They are being hospitalized at the district level.
So it all needs planning.
So the information is already there. All you need to do is say, yes, I need to use it. I need it, give it to me. So another one who doesn't think like a planner will just, it is part of all the other information. As long as we combine it and put it out there at the national level, we have used it anyway.
Okay.
So, yes,
okay,
so
Doctor.
that is the thinking that we can bring on board.
And Ugandans would also want to know, because what is disturbing now is that most of the people are locked up, down in their homes. You know, even they are watching. Maybe some of them are covered up in their duvets or blankets. You know, wrapping themselves. Do you think, as National Planning Authority, or how would you even advise? First of all, what has been your observation within this 40? We're still under 20th days around there. What has been your observation? Is the lockdown working? What is your call? Is the lockdown, I can say, is it the answer for the cases to go down?
Yes, for now, I can say yes. Because as you've observed on the graph, the partial lockdown didn't work at all. Because the cases came from 4,000, 5,000, and we reached 10,300 a day. So the partial lockdown didn't work. When the full lockdown came in, the curve started to peak, and then now it is going down, though not as fast. So, and you can see the graph as it is moving. It is actually working. The measures are working. So what I can say is that there is hope. There is hope in the next few months, 2 to 3. I believe if we continue doing
2 to
what...
3 months.
Yeah.
Are you saying that maybe Ugandans can be bound to be in the lockdown for at least between 2 and 3 months?
Not fully.
Okay.
I believe that if we continue to do what we are doing, we are going to start seeing the partial opening, the gradual opening. Within the next 1 month, we shall see the gradual opening, because the curve show if things go as they are, the cases are going to go down.
Okay.
So I believe we shall start to, I believe when things don't change, when the 42 days end, we shall see some partial opening. So I encourage Ugandans to have hope and to keep doing what they are doing, because I believe what they have done is right, because we can see the trend shows us that they have done the right thing, and the cases are going down. So they should continue to do what they have done since the full lockdown was introduced, and we continue also to pray.
Yes, if we have Ugandans staying at home, we have tourists coming into the country, the airport is still open. Among your data collection, have you observed how much or what contribution the airport is impacting towards, the rise or fall of the COVID-19 cases in the country?
Yes.
Have you heard that? Should we be threatened? Is it a threat?
No, it is not a threat. Because as you see, as I told you before, the model considered in-country factors and also outside country.
Yes.
The rate of mobility across borders. So we capture those entry points. As we are starting, we even captured, we got information from URA, how many trucks are entering on a daily basis on average. And we have put that into the model. So the mobility is captured. And in the first lockdown, it showed that the infection cases were because of external factors, the entry of cargo, of people into the country. This time around, it doesn't show that external factors have any impact.
So it's only bound to internal factors.
Exactly. So everything to keep these cases down is within our means to be able to control that. And those detailed explanations actually are there. We have for each country showing how much external factors influence, how much internal factors influence, and we have it for all African countries. We can show you that for Rwanda, it is the internal factors, all the external factors, and the ABCD. So all those things are there. So
Yes,
right now, the tourists can come, I believe. It is good for them.
Okay, for boosting the economy, though the question still remains there, not for you probably, to articulate on why at least domestic people or domestic tourists were bounded, were limited.
Yes.
You think that could also have caused, do you think it was a good call, banning of or limiting of domestic tourists?
Actually, now, for us as NPA, now we give an explanation to that. Because I don't know whether the committee, the task force in recommending to the president had that information, but as I've told you, it is the internal factors that are influencing the spread. So limiting the citizen to move to places is good. And
it still considers the internal factors anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, Doctor, as we are concluding, how can I be part of the model? How can I access it to be knowing that each time I want to look at the cases, I can access it? How can Ugandans access the new model or the projection of the cases as we conclude?
Yes, the cases, every Monday, we put out the predictions for the next 2 weeks. So we get the data every week on a daily basis, we run it, and then every Monday it gives us, and the results keep being refined because the information that goes in is as good as what we put in. I mean, the information that comes out is as good as the information we put in. So we publish it on our NPA Twitter handle and social media pages. But since the launch this week, we decided we are going to be availing this information every Monday to the Uganda Media Center.
Okay. Are you looking at an application process website?
So that all journalist media houses can access it. And then on our NPA page, every web page, every Monday, we shall be updating these statistics. So these are the outlets that will be going out, but mainly Uganda Media Center will be having this information every Monday. Okay,
so for now, Uganda Media Center and NPA website.
Yes.
You have not yet thought of about maybe developing an application for this particular?
Yeah, we have thought about it, but the data behind the mod is heavy, is a lot. So we have not yet made that simple application way which you can have on your phone and then you can be easily accessed. So we've been mainly focusing on having the model right and having it out. But as we get feedback like this, we are going to consider that.
All right,
as we put out the information on the platforms that I've talked about.
As you give your pick outs from the discussion and your concluding remarks, you could also assure Ugandans when you're going to you know continuously do the projections, or is it stopping after COVID-19? We do not know even when COVID-19 is going to get away from the economy. When is the limitation for this? Where is the future for the model as you give your concluding remarks?
Yes, this model, I assure Ugandans that we are going to be giving these projections, and the executive director at the launch said, until when Ugandans don't need them. So, so for giving, we are going to give until when, I use the same words, until when Ugandans don't need them. And I can assure Ugandans and give them hope that the lockdown measures have worked and they are working. We should all come together. Number two, the factors that are impacting on the spread of this COVID right now in this wave are within our means to control. So let us abide by what we have been told. COVID is not going to be here forever. It is going to come and go. The government does not pleasure in locking down the country. It needs the taxes, and as you have already heard, it has already cut and ministry budgets, agents budget by 40%, and that is not a good thing. It means service delivery is going to be cut by 40%. So the government wants to open the economy as soon as possible. So if we continue abiding, our predictions are showing that soon we shall be able to advise government and say we are somewhere where at least partial lockdowns can be made. And lastly, NPA is also working on assessing what is the impact of the lockdown on the economy. And probably when, we are not taking a long time, in a few weeks, if SMART gives us more
time. Surely you have the time, and we will be looking out for you, Doctor.
We shall come and explain how much the economy is impacted, and then
like you said, you're still assessing. So after the assessment, we will surely be honored to come and look for that.
We shall be honored to come and put it out to the Ugandans, especially on SMART, which means business, because that will be business.
That is there, and there you go. That has been Dr. Abraham Mwanguzi, who is the Manager Science and Technology Department at the National Planning Authority. We were analyzing, and he was analyzing for us, the new model that is projecting COVID-19 cases. This is SMB, and you're watching Smart 24 TV. Good morning. Coming up is news updates at the top of the hour.
Smart 24, driving business. Smart 24, driving business.
Manyaga ngampita maneno maka ndimo gwenkola mugwa boda ludde mu myaka 2 era funyamu ebirungi nguzemu ettaka mu kyalo no mulimu gwagala nnyo akutandika nga 2016 kwembeera mbi mulimu kulwanoonya mulimu nga tekulaba netusalawo ntukolaki tuvuge boda ate tulaba sente zibeerawo ku boda so tubeesawo n'ebutonotono. So kuvuga abantu nga 215 webityo engo ofuna twalonge na kitono nnyo nze nkola nga mitwalo 4 kitono nnyo webanga zigenze nnyingi obeera ku mutwalo 10 kalo 9 ejo obeerako.
Smart 24, driving business. Good morning and thank you for joining us once again on Smart Means Business. I'm Joram Posonko. It is 4 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. Good morning if you're having your breakfast. Good morning as well. And we've had some expert analysis from the National Planning Authority, Dr. Mwanguzi Abraham, giving us more about the model project that was set up to to give us more about the projections of the COVID-19 cases. We shall be following up that story later on as time progresses. Now let's head into our top stories of the day, both local and international. But first, let's ride into the local stories. Now, with the top story here, the High Court in Kampala has issued an order compelling the government to intervene and regulate prices of both public and private hospitals in the treatment and management of COVID-19 patients. Now, this is after the government, through its legal chief advisor, the Attorney General, conceded to a case accusing it of being reluctant in regulating COVID-19 treatment fees, thus giving freeway to some hospitals charging as high as 10 million Ugandan shillings per night for a COVID-19 patient in intensive care. However, by way of a concert order, the Attorney General has agreed with the Health Human Rights body, Center for Health, Human Rights and Development, that the government has to intervene and regulate fees for both treatment and management of this pandemic. Now, the consent order, which also compels the Medical and Dental Practitioners Association to advise the Health Minister, Jane Ruth Acheng, on what would be the reasonable, changeable or chargeable fees in the treatment of COVID-19, has been signed before Justice Philip Odochi. Now, SEHAD, a watchdog for health rights, through its executive director Moses Mulumba, lodged the case in court last week, having realized that a huge number of COVID-19 patients fear to approach hospitals due to the exorbitant fees asked in treatment. According to SEHAD, some bereaved families had their relatives' dead bodies detained in hospitals until they can pay off the bills. Mulumba contends this is both a health and human rights violation, and hence courts must come in to help the citizens. Ugandans excited as COVID-19 relief cash distribution does kick off. After this story, now following up to the next story, as government has started sending money to the vulnerable groups who have been severely affected by the COVID-19 lockdown. Now the exercise started the exercise that was supposed to start on Tuesday, July 6th, however, was in a delay in collection and upload of data of the beneficiaries, especially in Kampala. The government is giving out 100,000 Ugandan shillings to reach vulnerable households whose work has been stopped by the 42 days lockdown. The groups targeted include taxi drivers, border riders, single mothers, youth in slum areas, saloon operators, people who load and offload cargo, teachers in private school, barmaids, and other people who were dealing in petty businesses before President Museveni announced the second lockdown of 42 days. According to the Minister of Gender, the money is being sent to the beneficiaries via mobile money, and the withdrawal charges will be met by the government. Then we head into another story where one Ugandan and 3 Rwandese nationals have faced 8-year jail terms and fined 5.6 million for hacking Equity Bank. Now the 8 are part of a 12-man gang arrested in 2019 by Rwandan Investigation Bureau, RIB, that included 3 Rwandese internationals and a Ugandan. Now, regional security teams had trailed the gang linked to bank hacking attempts in Kenya and Uganda and had notified Rwandan officials when they set up a shop there. Now, the Tarifa Rwanda Daily reported that the court pronounced the verdict on Friday, July the 2nd, fining the suspects 5.3 million in damages and about 322,000 million for other charges. The members of unorganized groups were arrested while hacking into Equity Bank accounts and funneling the cash to Rwandans to draw out funds through easy banking and ATMs. Now, 5 police officers have been suspended from duty in Soroti for allegedly assaulting a trader at Nakutanya ward in Soroti district. As we wind up with this story, the 3 officials were captured, and the officers were captured in a video beating a trader identified as Moses Ogodia in his supermarket located in Nakutanya